first I'm going to, after spraying with a light leave-in conditioner, use my handle picks to gently remove the curl or the texture from the hair. Basically, these kind of picks are just designed to separate tangles very gently, so that's first. Second thing, using a monster clip, I go from the top of the ear across to the top of the ear, straight across the occipital bone, and put that to the top of the head, clipping it completely out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the drapes to a wider drape so that the hair will contrast and we'll be able to see the cutting more clearly. I then take the back section, I separate it, comb it through, clean it out, and then I'm going to set my guideline. Now I can measure this with my comb. There's a ruler on comb, so I measure exactly the amount she wanted taken off, and then I cut it there. Bringing down my next section so that when I comb it down to the ends, I can still see through it. I can see my guide just fine. I take and blend it into my chosen length. I then take my next section slightly forward of that or toward her face, and I just progressively move my guide forward, taking off just the ends. Notice my elevation to create softness on those ends so they're not totally blunt. Establishing my guideline on the side from just behind the ear, I bring it forward at a low, about a 45-degree angle forward, and then just take off that little corner that's going to present itself in the front so that I will promote a little bit more roundness on those edges. Not too much, just a little bit, working it around toward the guide toward her nose or the front of her face. Now this will contrast the interior layering I'm going to do next, which will be very square. In a moment here, I'll start taking that guideline around to the back of it, and you'll be able to see the line that I'm cutting very detailed. Here's the thing you want to remember is you do not want to overlayer it, you do not want to over thin or thin out the length of the hair. You have no doubt noticed at this point that I'm taking a less steep sectioning all the way. This is because the back is thicker, and so I want a less steep section because I want to create a little bit more layering. So you can accommodate the amount or the lack of hair in any given section by the angle with which you do this technique. You're simply looking to take the shorter part of the cut that we did first on top, and you're blending it very gently to the top. You'll notice most everything from below the occipital bone in this cut is not affected. I'm leaving the length in that way, and the thickness. Then I'm going to take and add just a lot of texture using the same 1660s, and this sectioning that I'm doing will allow that portion to blend in to the length quite nicely. I'm going to take, in this instance, the entire section, grab my comb, the wider tooth angle of the comb, take my 1660s, and now for the last 4 inches or 6 inches, I go through and I texturize it out. Now, you have to use a 1660 to do this, because you need the blend of that blade. Now notice how, unlike before, that top section now stands off the length. Now the layer still blends, it's true, but it stands off a little fuller. Can you see that? And how does Caitlin feel about this new cut, this look?